Hello and welcome to Guest Talks, where the transformation meets conversation. I am your host, Maggie, and I sit down with inspiring healers, coaches, and change makers that were able to turn their life's obstacles into stepping stones. We sit down and we talk about lessons that they've learned, the challenges that they've overcome, and how now they help others to grow as well. My guest today is Stefanie Berger, an energy healer, a psychic, an akashic records medium, and a dragon whisperer, if I may say. Welcome to Get Talks.
Thanks for having me.
So, Stephanie, let's just get right into it. And I like to ask my guests about the origin story, which basically means you were living this other life before, that you were probably disconnected and maybe not so happy. And now you've created the life that you are way more connected, you live on purpose. So, what was that life before, and how did this transition even started happening for you?
Yeah, I think, like, looking back, probably I always felt like I was a little bit different or weird as a kid as well. I kind of lived in like my own little space. I was talking to myself all the time, or maybe talking to other things around me. But the thing is, I just, I went to high school, and when I was just like growing up, I kind of totally forgot about the whole thing. I know that, or I remember that I bought like a book once, like Talking to Your Angels, but this is just like the one thing I did, and then I didn't look into it anymore. And then I started college, I started working, I was working in politics. And the thing is, I was really happy with what I was doing. I had a great job, I was earning a lot of money. And then I think it all started when I actually wanted to have children. And when I became a mother, suddenly I felt like there's like this whole other side of me, because before I gave birth to my first child, I felt like I would be going right back to work after 6 months, and I was just like so busy with everything, and like looking back in a very masculine energy. But I kind of liked it too, because I was getting everything done, and I was just like blah blah blah, and everything was working out. And then being a mother suddenly brought up this totally different side, like the caring side, like for me, taking care of others, and like just enjoying this. And then this feeling of unconditional love kind of like took like my heart space. And then I wanted to have more children, and I mean, now I've got 4 daughters. And I think I would have gone on with that, because I just like this nurturing situation I was in. And this was so different from what I used to be when I was working. Also, the thing is, since I'm psychic, and I didn't even realize that for a long time, because I just, yeah, for me, it's like when somebody enters the room, or even like, I don't even have to be in the same room. It's just like there are images coming up, there are feelings coming up, and this is like multidimensional. And then I always wanted to be helpful and give advice that nobody asked for. And then, I got into a lot of discussions and like controversies, because it was like, I was like, why are you doing this way? And then the person would say, yeah, because of this and that. And I was like, but that's not true. This is not the reason why you're doing it. But the thing is, I just didn't understand that this was actually their reality. And just because I saw it differently didn't mean, first, they didn't ask me. And then secondly, it's not my point. And I'm not helping them if I try to tell them what to do, or to behave differently, or to do it this way because this would work better. And I started working with essential oils because I really like natural stuff. I got this from my grandmother, because I'm based in Germany. And so my grandmother used to do work with herbs, and like like not always medicine. And so I looked into essential oils, and I really, really loved that. And I got so into it that I wanted to do it as a business. So that was the first time I actually drew away from my like corporate job a little bit, and then started working with the essential oils. And really soon I just loved the emotional effect that the oils have. And something that I really believe is that, we're all like connected, everything is connected. So our psyche is connected to our physical body. And then if you're like emotionally blocked, or you have problems there, then this, relates with the body. And I used to have major back pain. And, step by step, I realized when I was 18, 19, 20, I had really bad back issues. But when I became a mother, they disappeared for some reason. I felt healthier than before. And then I started to look into this. Yeah. And then like 2 years ago, I was interested in doing the reading the akashic records. And I took a workshop and realized that this is actually what I'm doing all the time. And this is when I started, my journey to being a healer.
Okay. So that's a lot of information. So let's break down a little bit. That's okay. I follow you. Great thing that you said that I totally relate is the whole giving advice to people and then being upset that they're not listening to you or they're not seeing your way because you know that you're right or you know that this can help them. And I think many of us, especially the people that like to help others, it's just part of our journey as well to grow into being good listeners and accepting that other people, well, maybe they're not ready for this advice, even if it's a useful advice, even if it's something that will help them. Everyone has free will and everyone grows into those decisions themselves. So if they're not ready, they won't be able to accept it or to understand it anyway, right? So there's that. So you said that, let's maybe start with the aromatherapy and how it's, because I know you have the business around it and you already mentioned several benefits that they can bring to different ailments and different things that we all go through. I suppose they also like then calm your mind, help with anxiety. So not necessarily just the physical illness, but maybe the matters of the mind in a way. So is there anything that you would maybe recommend in terms of essential oils, like who should be using them or when we should be using them or why we should be using them? Like what are the benefits for those of us who don't really know much about essential oils and the benefits for our bodies and psyche?
The thing is with essential oils, this relates to the Eastern approach, like herbs and stuff. This is really interesting to me, I think, because like the Western approach is, if there is an imbalance, we try to put it back into balance. And the Eastern approach is we try to keep the balance. And this is totally different because what you're trying to do, and this is why I think everybody should be using essential oils. You can use it with your animals, you can use it with your children, you can use it for the elderly. And the thing is, it's like pure nature power. So of course, they're powerful, and you have to be a little bit careful with the dose and how you dilute them. But the thing is, if you know your way around, they are really therapeutic and they're so helpful. And the thing is, it's like a chemical thing, because like a molecule of essential oils has different components, terpenes, sesquiterpenes, like alcohols, different kind of stuff. And what happens is it comes into the body on, like, you can either do it aromatically, you can apply it, or you can take it internally. And then they move through the body and they get to the brain. And then when they like processing the brain, they're like different things that are happening. For example, like with lavender, then there's a lot of GABA and serotonin that is, released in the body. And this is why it's actually calming and soothing. And then like for citrus oils, they put a lot of adrenaline, or like the hormones that are also going through the body when you're in love. So they are like lifting up your whole spirit, and they're just like waking you up. And the mint oils, they help you focus and cool down. So there's a lot of ways that you can actually support yourself to keep the balance, to not even have like a state where you're in pain. Of course, if you're in pain or if you have something, you can use them too, but the point is to just get to daily routines that you can just use them, just like put on a diffuser like I have in the back. You can like work with a roll-on, all different kinds of stuff. And it's different for everybody because our system is different. But if you just start using them, you'll feel how much they can benefit you.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So maybe one question on top of my head from what you said: is there a difference between when we use it as a roller or when we have a diffuser? Is there a
No.
difference in how it? Oh, okay. So it's just a matter of preference.
The thing is, I mean, of course, if I have a headache, it might make sense to put like some
Yeah.
peppermint oil, for example, like around the head. But you can also put it in the diffuser, because the thing is, the oils are like, I don't know the English word. They are very small and volatile, so they move through the skin, they move through the whole body, they go to into the blood, and then every cell can just take whatever it needs. And so the same thing with the emotional thing, and then also, you know sometimes when you have a headache, it might not be because of the weather, it might be because of stress. So it might be more helpful, for example, to just use some lavender and wild orange instead of peppermint. So, it's just like you also, and this is one thing I really, really love about it, you're supposed to listen to yourself.
Mm,
And you do it on your own. And it's not like, because I was talking to a doctor, just like yesterday, and
mm,
she's like a normal school medicine doctor, but she likes like natural stuff. And she was like, I have so many people there going like, okay, I'm sick, I have this, I have that, please give me something, though it will go away. And she was like,
yes.
I want them to be more self-responsible for what they're actually going through. And with the oils, it's awesome because you have a tool, and it's not like a pill, but you can actually, you'll have to think about, what is my current situation? Why am I feeling the anxiety? Why am I stressed? Is it because it's just too much to do, or is it just because I'm in emotional stress situation? So yeah.
Yeah, you're speaking my language because I always recommend self-awareness, journaling or whatever it is. It's just being aware of your own body, being aware of your own emotions, and being curious. My favorite two words I always say is curiosity and non-judgment. So start being a bit more curious about everything that is happening in your world, and then start asking the questions, and being curious with an idea that, the more you know about yourself, the more you can help yourself. So if you're too stressed, you're stressed all the time, or you have headaches all the time, there's a reason why it's happening. And this
Exactly.
reason may be within you, but you're just ignoring it because we learn to ignore. We learn to go to a doctor for a pill, or to do things that will, give our power away, in a sense, to external things, where we can actually just do it by knowing ourselves better, and by having nature help us. So like essential oils, I love that you made us realize as well that this is just nature, the beautiful benefits of healing benefits of nature that it has for us.
And
Um,
before I wanted to do the business, what I like most is, I was feeling like a little the kind of herbal witch who is
yeah,
combining stuff and
yeah,
mixing
yeah,
like
yeah.
things, and it was so much fun. So the thing is, I just love using nature in that way, because of course they're like different things. Like in German, it's globuli. I don't know if you have them. It's like little white balls or pearls, and you take them, and it's like only plant medicine as well. But the thing is, it doesn't taste and doesn't smell. And with essential oils, you just have like this thing, you can touch them, you can smell them, you can feel the reaction in your body. And this is something that I really, really like to just to experience this. And
Yeah.
when you're swallowing a pill, you just go like this, water, and then
Yeah.
the headache goes away, but the problem doesn't go
And
away.
we just continue to be disconnected from ourselves and from the nature and everything. Whereas when you like, your mind's going to remember as well. I think a lot of us, like at least in my case, like I don't know much about aromatherapy, but I know lavender, I know the basics, right? But lavender, if I can't sleep or something, that would calm me down. But there's so much information out there, right? So we often don't even try because we are overwhelmed about the amount of information, and that we need
Yeah.
to know everything. But really, we can just start being curious and look one by one. So if you have a headache, or if you want to be calm, then okay, start with just lavender. Use the lavender, see how it works on you, see how it actually gives you the release. Because often if you're a skeptic, like I used to be as well, I'll be like, well, it's not going to help with my headache, nothing helps with my headache, so how is some essential oil going to help me? Because we don't want to even sometimes see that something so simple as a little bit of roll-on essential oil can help us with a thing that we so used to having and thinking that nothing else will help us.
Yeah, also the thing is, I think the avoidance is kind of like a thing there too, because if you have headaches all the time, there has to be a reason, because it's not everybody having headaches all the time. And
Yeah.
so if you think, if you in like, okay, nothing is going to help, then you're like so disconnected that you don't even want to go and look into it. And I can totally understand that. And the thing is, this is actually what I liked so much when I was working with the oils, that I started to open up, and like the little drawers inside of me were just like opening up. And then I suddenly felt like, okay, there's more to this whole thing. And I'm really, very intuitional, and I'm good in what I'm doing. And then I started to do this Akashic Records thing. And then I was like, okay, this is great. This is, everything is just energy. Everything is connected. And there's like a Chinese saying where when there is free flow, there is no pain. And when there is pain, there is no flow. So it's, in the end, it's just, about releasing blocks, energy blocks that cause symptoms. But the question is, for example, why are you having a headache and I'm having back pain? That's different, it's, the body is just looking for like a sign for you to understand where to look at and which areas to look at. And like every organ or everything has like a emotional side to it, the essential oils do too. So they all have, like, for example, lavender is the oil of communication. And I thought that was funny in the beginning, because I was like, communication is kind of like an active process.
Yeah.
And then lavender is so calming. And I was like, why is that then? But the thing is, if you think about it from an like spiritual or energy level, of course, if you're like calming down and you're free and you're like relaxed, you can say what's on your mind.
Yes. You have a better communication with someone. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about Akashic Records. You mentioned this few times that your own journey had led you to discovering this. So I know very little about it. I read a little article here and there, but I've never worked with that. So maybe you can explain to anyone that is like me in not
Yeah.
really knowing what it is. Who is it good for? What does it help with? How does it work? Whatever you can let
Yeah.
us know about this.
Yeah, the thing is, the in German the word is very weird, because
Mm-hmm.
like the Akashic Chronicle, if you think about it, it's kind of like the book of life.
Mm-hmm.
And like, maybe we start like this: everything is energy, like the plants, the people, the animals, the trees, but also like physical stuff, like a bottle has like a kind of an energy. And then the Akashic Chronicles is kind of like where everything is stored in this book. It's like a place of information for everything that has happened, that is actually currently happening, and what will be happening. Also, it takes credit of the fact that time is not linear.
Mm.
And this is what we're saying, when we're saying, when you're manifesting something and it's already there, this
Yeah.
is the same thing with the Akashic Chronicles. Everything is already there. And you just have to become a vibrational match to what you actually want to receive. So if you're an intuitive person, and actually everybody could do that, we just forgot how to. And maybe, of course, there's some people, for them it's easier, like myself. You can just kind of like read in the book. For me, it's more like watching TV without a TV. When I'm having a reading, or in German, I say session, because reading is kind of like a literature thing where somebody reads from his book. I mean,
Mm.
this is not actually what I'm doing, but I'm getting information from outside myself. This is kind of what it is. And for example, if we would do like a reading,
Mm-hmm.
I would get information from your system. And the good part, I think, is that, your system only shows what you're like subconsciously are willing to clear. So it's not going to be an overwhelming thing or like a traumatic thing. It will be maybe hard or sad sometimes. I mean, because of what I'm basically doing is, what I do is trauma release. So this is, of course, like not a very easy process. But the thing is, with our psyche, when something happens to us and we feel disconnected, we feel lost, we're scared of something as a child, we separate those parts and we store the traumatic part deep down in our subconscious. This is actually a good thing because we don't want to be re-triggered the whole time. But then as an adult, sometimes these like mechanisms or coping structures, they're not helpful anymore. And so what I'm doing is I'm just, looking into what area, what block can be released. And then I'm helping, I'm asking the universe for help, for like giving me the information that this person needs right now. Sometimes it's like little short stories, like a little movie, kind of like I hear stuff, I feel things. And this is, I think that the healing part is for the person I'm working with, is just because I'm saying it. And you don't have to say it, because the thing is, if you would talk about something that made you sad or you maybe felt ashamed about, then your mind would choose special words to make it easier to explain how a situation was. And this is not helpful, because this is not connected to the feeling. This is not actually representing the original feeling. And I can say, okay, but this is not what you're feeling. You're saying, this was sad, but maybe you were very angry. But you just feel more comfortable with saying you were sad for whatever reason.
I think often we wouldn't even know what words to use, because most of us, many of us, never even address that situation, right? A lot of, I think there's a lot of people out there, and I was one of them as well, not too long ago, that I have not attended to my trauma. I kept it hidden from myself. This is what the coping mechanism, the defense mechanism came in. Obviously, to protect me. Everything that we do, everything that our subconscious does, is to protect us. But there comes a time when we are ready and willing to work on this. And I love that you said as well that nothing's going to be revealed to you that we are not able to handle. And I see it as well in the trauma healing, or anything else that I've encountered in my healing journey. Regardless how deeply painful maybe it was on an emotional level, I always had this knowing that, okay, this is as much as I can handle right now, and I can handle whatever is presented to me. It's because I can handle it right now, and I will find that strength. We obviously fear it. Our ego will let us know, and our subconscious sometimes, some parts of us will be fearing that change as well. But yeah, I like how all of this connects, and how we just have different ways of handling a similar thing. Because I believe what you mentioned with the parts that may be internal family systems, which is great for, like, it was huge for me to read the book No Bad Parts by Dr. Richard Swartz. I recommend to anyone, where I first found out about different parts, and that we have those things, and that different voices, or different ways I am even acting and reacting and being triggered, those were those different parts of me that I never had the chance to address, to get to know. I was more ashamed of, and tried to keep hidden. But really what it's needed is to shed some light and accept yourself as you are, and all of your parts. So if I was a recipient of this akashic reading, then I understand that I just sit here, and I don't need to do anything. I don't need to revisit my trauma. I don't need to do anything really that will be like very emotionally disturbing, right? Because sometimes there's a lot of trauma healing around that is quite disturbing, quite re-traumatizing, even especially in like some therapies. So how is that different?
Well, the thing is, I think you do have to kind of revisit the feeling, because it will be like coming to the surface, but you can just let it flow. You don't have to take an active part in it. And this is the difference, I think. And it's not about solving anything. It's not about right or wrong. It's just the way it is. And the funny thing is, this is what I tell all my clients: you made this experience a long time ago. So it's stored in your energetic body anyhow. So you might as well just let it go.
Yes.
Because if you're avoiding it, you don't have room for anything new. And this is also something that just struck me when I was learning all these different things. You know, we often wish so hard for new experiences, for new happier moments, whatever, other friends or more joy, whatever. But if your energetic body, it has only 100%, and energy is not going away. I mean, it's just going somewhere else, but it's not dissolving. So if you want to invite something new, you have to make space. You know, you have to let go of something. So this is the first steps, to just acknowledge what was there, let it go, and just like it will go by you just recognizing it. And there is nothing more you have to do. And the thing is, it's funny because the universe is like giving you so many situations to work with and to practice a different reaction, because this is what it's all about. It's not about never being triggered again. It's about being triggered and then realizing it and saying, okay, I'm gonna walk to a different ending now, you know, for myself. And then it's like, you know, sometimes during the process, I mean, you know that as well, probably, you go like, okay, fuck it all. I just don't want to do it anymore. Get away. You know, the universe can have my bag. I don't care. So the thing is, this sometimes happens, but it's a good thing, because you're actually realizing that, you know, you're in this structure and you were put there by others. I mean, we weren't born this way. We were born like this perfect little baby, and then things happen, you know. And it's time now to just walk into a new life, into new light, and just go like, okay, I'm done with that. I decide I want to live differently. And this is one thing for me as well. Yeah, the thing is, you know, when I started doing that, for me it was really kind of hard, because I think in Germany, maybe being psychic, there's even not a word for psychic. There's none. There's one for like that you're like clear conscious or clairvoyant, whatever, but it's not like a whole thing for everything. We don't even have a word. So, you know, when I was starting doing that, and I was really like, what am I supposed to say? And then also two people told me that my way was going to be the one of the healer. And I was like, no way. I hated the word healer. I was like, no way, this is not resonating at all. And there was so much resistance to it that really it took me like a year to just make peace with that. This might be something I want to do, because I was actually really, really not wanting to do it. And
yeah, I think the resistance always comes the most when this is exactly where you need to be going and exactly what is your purpose in this life. You're gonna resist this the hardest you can. You're like, there's no way, it's not gonna be,
not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
This was
it. And the funny thing is, then for some reason, because you know, like where we met in Costa Rica through John. And through John, I also, via Instagram, I found a woman who's doing dragon work. And I was really kind of interested. I don't even know why, because I never had anything to do with dragons before. And then I was like, but this sounds fun. And then she had like this little workshop that was for free, and I did that. And then she had a dragon consciousness program, level 1, I did that. And there was level 2, and I did that. And the thing is, the first time she did this activation, and we were going to the dragon realm, it's like kind of like a meditation. And then suddenly I was there and I started crying, because I never felt as much as like at home as in this moment. And I don't even know this feeling from like in this lifetime. And I was like, okay, this is really crazy, because the more crazy it gets, the most I like it. Yeah. Or the more I like it, I just feel so comfortable with being in like this woo space, you know? And I was like, this is awesome. And the funny thing is, I started doing like the work, and then the thing is, because you know, you can work with angels, you can work with like animals to help, you know, you with your with the universe, with your spiritual guides. But the thing about dragons, for me, they are this earth keepers, and they're like so huge and strong, and they have this unconditional love for everybody. And this goes really deep. And for me in my work, like the trauma healing, and also what I felt like when I was a mother, this unconditional love thing, they have that. And this is why I love working with them. They're so powerful. And I used to do like my akashic chronicle readings for like a year, when I started implementing the dragons and calling on them and asking them for advice. And now I do a channel dragon light language as well. And I know that this sounds weird. And I mean, with my ego, you know, I know that I'm talking stuff that I cannot understand and nobody else can understand. And this was a really huge thing in the beginning. To just like, they're all gonna think I'm crazy. She's talking weird stuff, you know. But the thing is, I get the response from my clients that it's so powerful and so helpful, and that actually gave me the confidence to just go on with that. And this is something that I
You
just
know
can
what
say,
you're
you know,
feeling, right? Because you can't, you felt something, yeah, like you said, you felt
yeah,
calm, and you felt maybe even the unconditional love that you felt when you had your first child is maybe similar to what you felt with the dragons. So
exactly.
you can't really lie about that. Like there's I totally get you with the whole well, I'm not activated to dragons just yet, but I'm totally like, I have a dragon tattoo since I was like early 20s, and dragons always kind of spoke to me in a way that I couldn't understand. So, and I've been told a few things as well. So I'm totally keen on exploring that thing for myself as well. So I will ask you a few more questions around dragons as well. But oh, I forgot what I wanted to ask. Oh, but yeah, but this whole idea of people thinking that we're crazy, people thinking that, you know, they're going to look at us weird. Like even as I work on my memoir, there's certain spiritual aspects that happened around my healing journey. And I remember while it was happening a year ago or 2 years ago, it was like, who will ever believe me? What is happening, like what these connections that my mind made, these feelings that certain things, you know, what happened. But at the end of the day, what helped me was like, do you know what, this is super healing for me. It connects me with who I really am and where I want to go. It's not hurting anyone. If anything, it helps me and it helps others. So why would I not go there, you know? Like, and that helped me slowly go into this whole unexplained, you know, whether it's dragons or spirit world, or, you know, I started meeting psychics and all the people with different skills that I've never even heard of, you know, light language included, channeling and all that kind of stuff. So it fascinates me. But of course, there's still a lot of people that are not really going to believe it. But I think the ones that are open to it, the ones that are ready for it, they see the benefit, they feel how powerful it is. And I've learning all the time how to just let go of my logical mind every now and then, because I was so heavily reliant on my logic my whole life
Yeah.
that now I'm like, you know what, I want to believe in the magic of the universe. I want to experience some things that my mind cannot understand, and just accept it and be curious about it and just go there and see what happens, you know, rather than be so stubborn like I used to be and be like, well, I don't know how to explain this, so this can't be true, which is part of our ego as well. And just wanted to circle back to one other thing that you said with the trauma earlier on, and that we can just decide that we want to let go and that we want to move on. Because this is something I didn't know 3 years ago when I started this journey, and it was very hard over 2 years of me exploring different modalities and a lot of suffering. And it's fine. I had to go that way. This is the journey I was always meant to be on, and the lessons that I had to learn, so that now I can be a better coach as well and understand suffering of others and their blind spots and all that. But I just wanted to make sure the audience didn't miss that, because it doesn't have to be so difficult. It doesn't have to take years. It doesn't have to, you know, it can be completely different to what we were taught or to what we think, because we hear of the people that are in therapy for 10 years, 15 years before they
Yeah.
can move on. And so we assume that what is the point of going and trying to heal anything? Not to mention, we've probably already convinced ourselves that it didn't matter, it didn't hurt us. That was me for sure. So we just like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But as you said, it's the energy. That trauma is kept in our body, and if we don't give space, if we don't, you know, let go of it, we don't have space for anything new. So we will block all the manifestations. We won't be able to call in more abundance or love or whatever it is that we want to have, if we still hold on to this trauma, even if it is subconsciously. And most of us, I think, hold on to it subconsciously without even realizing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. The thing is, um, because you're like an energy vessel,
yeah.
and you hold 100% of your energy. And if nothing goes away, where is the other energy supposed to take to come in? I mean, this is really kind of like physical. You cannot invite something in if there is no space. It will just, just like not be able to soak in. So also, what I believe is what I said. The thing is, when you're going to therapy, and this, I did that too for years and years, but the thing is, you're always talking. So you're always in your mind
Yeah.
and in your ego. And this is the whole thing. If
Mm.
you don't have a psychic therapist, he can only work with what you're telling him. And this is the
And you
whole
can
thing.
lie to your therapist as well, or you can just
And you
be,
cannot, I mean, this is the
yeah.
thing, because I was always feeling like people were lying. But the thing is, for them, it's their truth. It's what they're actually capable of handling.
Yes, how much they can reveal. Yes, yes.
Yeah, and then this is the whole thing, the really, really bad parts are stored away for a good reason, because you don't want to remember that all the time, because, then you'd go crazy. So this is like a healthy psyche thing, to just store it away in your subconscious. But if you're not looking at it, and if you're not letting it go, then it will just block new things. So you can go to a therapist and you can talk all you want, but this is not the point.
Yes.
And this is why I think, like, this whole energy thing is so potent and so helpful, because you're going like major steps. And you need somebody who can just go to the core and, like, kind of feel and realize what's underneath the whole thing you're talking about.
Yeah. It's funny, I was editing one of the chapters today, and it was actually energy healing, because my first energy healing that I did in Sydney was huge. It connected something connected to my trauma, and it just made me realize certain things that I honestly don't think I would ever be able to connect otherwise. And it was just transformative. And it was,
Yeah.
I just lied there on the bed, and someone was moving energy through my body. And at the time I didn't really understand anything. But as I left the appointment, I was like, it doesn't matter that I don't understand, because the way I feel, the way my heart was, there was a part of my heart that was like, came back to me after like almost 20 years. And I was just so happy and so relieved. And the need to understand just went away, because I experienced. But I think a lot of energy work, maybe the more I did the energy work, the subtle the results were, that they weren't. And I was always coming, because my logic mind was always like very strong. So I was like, oh, I'm going to another energy healing, it needs to be another massive session. And the more subtle the results became, the more I started doubting, because then the mind came in, right? I was like, oh, I'm not doing this right now, or maybe it's not working. But then, I sat down and I was like, no, it's just because I am already better as well. So the results are more subtle. And it is my job to always believe that it's working, and also be more in tune with me. And then I can notice the subtle differences as well. But there's always an energy change within us. And like you said, we are energy. That's why we feel, pumped one day and tired the other, or we have the headaches. It's because of the energy within us that is in the works.
And the energy around us. And the thing is also, I think one big thing also right now during this time period, like the last couple of weeks, was very strong, is I think the ultimate goal is to release your the things you're assuming they're supposed to happen,
Okay.
because you go like, okay, this person doesn't behave the way I would want him to, or he or she is not looking at my needs. But the thing is, there's nobody out there who's supposed to look after your needs.
Yes.
You're supposed to do that by yourself. And the thing is, also another thing that might be interesting, because sometimes we feel like if, like, for example, our parents or whoever, like the ex-partner, if he or she would say something to us and take responsibility for what they have done, then we'd feel better. The thing is, that's actually not, this cannot be working, because this is like this. The hurt happened, like, let's say 10 years ago. So even if somebody says now, I'm sorry, this doesn't help, because what was happening was back then, 10 years ago. So if you're not able to jump into a time capsule with this person, have the same situation again, the person behaving differently, there's nothing the person can do to make it better for you. So the only thing you can do is to decide that it happened, and that you're accepting it, that you're actually accepting the hurt. And then, this is also something I learned, you cannot decide to forgive someone. You cannot. This is something that is not happening. It's not, you can say, okay, I forgive you, but if you're actually, the part of forgiveness happens when the wound is healed. So you might say that you forgive someone, but this is also not working. And we experience that a lot of times. Like, we feel our partner, for example, hurt us, or our parents hurt us, and then we say, okay, never mind, and then it's good. But it's not good. It's still hurting us. It's still, re-triggering us. And the thing is, once you let it go, then you're actually able, because this is what happens automatically.
You will feel that forgiveness in every cell of your body.
It will be there, exactly. And it doesn't matter anymore. And you just go like, why was that so hard all these years? Because then you have this one thing in the session, and you go like, okay, I get it now, but I'm getting it. I feel it now.
Yes.
And the thing is, why didn't I feel it before? Because you weren't there yet. And this is also good, because there is no right or wrong timing. It happens in aligned timing.
Yes, it's helped me a lot. It was definitely a concept that, again, my stubbornness and my impatience and everything was like, did not want to accept that it's just going to happen in divine timing. The amount of time I had John or someone else telling me, and I was like, no, it has to happen today or tomorrow or whenever I'm doing this course, But the more I was like, okay, so what am I think we judge ourselves as well. Like, I definitely judged myself because I was doing all those things and trying all those modalities, and I didn't see that progress. I didn't see, or maybe I didn't feel the forgiveness. That was a big part of my journey as well. And then, there was this thought that I am doing something wrong, that I am not good enough, in a sense, or whatever else. So I think it's important to remember that, yes, sometimes it's just, there's no right or wrong. All you can do is accept your situation, and this is part of the surrender, right? There's this word surrender that I've heard many times, but no one really explained to me what surrender is, or like how to do it. So from my experience, it was like acceptance. Like you say, it's accepting my situation, not adding any story to what it means about me, or that I'm doing something wrong, just accepting and trusting. And even if I am impatient, I will accept that fact as well. This is just part of me. I am impatient, but I am working on this impatience, and this is teaching.
And also, I mean, it's not a bad thing to be impatient. It's driving you towards things, and it's making you accomplish stuff. So this is the thing: dropping expectations to others and yourself is key. And I think this is like the one goal that we should be working on, dropping expectations, because the thing is, everybody is trying their best, even if it doesn't feel like it for us. And also, something that I really, really think is important, you cannot, you don't know how somebody else is feeling, and you don't know why they are behaving the way they are, and because you didn't live their life.
Yes.
So, you're not in the position to judge anybody, even if they're
There's
obviously
always so much more to everyone's story than we know. That's just
and the thing is, it has nothing to do with you or with me if somebody is behaving rude. It's just explaining or showing that they obviously learned that if they feel like somebody is going towards them, this is a good strategy to keep them off their backs. So, it's just like, was like the main thing for me also in my private life, to see, okay, there's nobody like ignoring my needs. The thing is, I can always walk away, which doesn't mean you have to end the relationship or the friendship or the relationship to your parents or family. Doesn't mean that. It just means like, okay, I'm just going to my room. I'm stopping the telephone call. I don't want to argue right now. And then you can just walk away and not be mad because the other person might want to argue. And that's okay too,
Yes,
And we don't decide about somebody else's needs or behavior because we don't know what they're like, the situation they're in. Even if they're trying to explain it, doesn't mean that this is actually what they're going through.
Yes, so I think that circles back to this radical responsibility for ourselves and like truly understanding that we are the only ones responsible for our feelings and for everything that we.
Well, we're not responsible for our feelings. We're responsible for the reaction to our feelings. That's the thing. Because, all the feelings, every emotion is okay.
Yes, there's no bad and yes, exactly.
Of how I'm handling the emotion.
Yes. And
so
I think
if you're a person who's very, very often very aggressive or angry, that's fine. The thing is, don't yell at your spouse or your partner or your kids. Just, turn the other way and yell at the wall. It's not, there's nothing wrong with yelling. You can yell, but just like not directed to somebody else, because this is like you putting energy into somebody and then he or she has to
you're projecting that on them. Yes, exactly.
And if you just turn around and you yell at the wall, then
you release it because
exactly, and the other person is going like, okay, she's mad now.
Exactly.
She's mad now. Maybe I just want to step away.
Because often it's not even about the person. It's just you have something in your body, and you're like, oh my God, I need to scream. I need to like be angry. I need to punch
and the thing
something.
is, it's like this is something that I learned with children too. Sometimes they are like bursting out into tears or like aggression or whatever, and you think, oh, this is not so bad. It's just like this one tiny thing. You're like, what? But the thing is, you don't know, you haven't been there with the whole day. Maybe they tried something that didn't work out. And this is the same with us. If you ask like a adult, why are you so mad? Sometimes I don't know, last week was going wrong. This week is not well either. And then at some point it's just like overload. And so if we cannot even explain ourselves as adults, how children supposed to handle all these different experiences, and just like treat everybody with love and kindness. And then if you're mad or if they get on your nerve, just turn around and then do it with your own, like, be responsible for your own feelings. And the thing is, this is also a good thing because, it takes you out of the victim mode. Because if you always believe that somebody else is supposed to behave different, that you would be happy, or if my partner would do this or that, then I'd feel better. This is not true. It's just not true, because the reason you're feeling the way you're feeling, this goes way back, like 10 years, 12 years, 40 years back in my case. So, it's nothing to do with your current partner. And the thing is, this one really good advice that somebody gave me, he was like, okay, you can change your partner, but you're taking your brain with you. So you'll have the same
you're literally just going to attract similar situations because
and you're gonna react the same if you're not changing your own behavior. And this is also a good thing, because you can change your behavior. You're the only one who can, and then you're responsible for it as well. So it's a good thing.
Yes, it's absolutely a good thing. As terrifying as it may sound to those that haven't taken responsibility for themselves yet, because I mean, I think we all have been that person before we gathered this knowledge and this awareness that this is how it works. Because, we've been kind of brought up this way, that people were blaming other people and everyone was just, someone else's fault and whatever. So this was already ingrained in us before we even were aware of any of the rules, right? So there's nothing wrong with that, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you don't know how to control your emotions, or if you still get angry at other people. It's like you said, it always starts with this acceptance that this is where I am right now, and maybe with a decision that actually I want to work on it. I would love to not be angry at my spouse, but rather just learn how to control my anger. Maybe go into
the thing is also what I find is very helpful to say, okay, I'm acknowledging that a part of me is very angry right now.
Yes.
Because this is not all of me. Another part is very compassionate. And then it's like this inner dialogue which goes like, don't be mad at him, but I don't want him to treat me that way, or her, whatever. And then, it's like always going back and forth. And the thing is to say, okay, there's one part of me that is very angry. There's another part who feels bad for, let's say, yelling at my kids. There's one part who thinks like I should be like getting out of bed and do stuff. And the other part is so tired that, you know, she wants rest. So this is all in us, and we're multiple parts. And it's the thing is to just acknowledge that it is what it is and what my reality is.
Yes.
And I actually wrote a free ebook about that, to have some exercises to just come back to yourself and accept your truth.
Oh, that's
because
good.
There's no ultimate truth.
Send me a link, and I will link this under the description for this video, so whoever's listening to can check this out. And yeah, because it's all really in like these practices, which leads me to my other question. We talked a lot about the energy healing. Is there any practices that we can do ourselves to manage our energy better, to maybe be aware of our energies, or anything that we can do ourselves without, you know, help?
There's like actually there's a lot of practical things in this ebook. It's not very long, but it's like, you know, this is like this. If you don't have enough time to do like sports or do yoga, you can do 10 minutes at home. You can just take a walk around the block. And the thing is, don't blame yourself. One thing I really found difficult for me is rest. I couldn't rest without a bad conscience. And this is the first step. If you cannot rest without feeling bad, because everything else is, you know, stopped, then this is the first thing you can work on. And if you're saying, okay, I don't have a problem with resting, I do have a problem with getting up and do stuff, then you can start with that. It's, you know, it's different for everybody. Yes. But the thing is, there's like a little list of things you can do, or, you know, things that can help you. You can, at night, if you're laying in your bed, you can pull your energies back. You can say intentionally, I put my attention to pulling my energy back, because this is one thing. When you walk through the day and you're giving advice to someone, or you try to help someone else, you're actually putting, like, you can think of everybody has his own puzzle, and, you know, you're putting your puzzle pieces into someone else's puzzle, and someone else puts their puzzle pieces into yours. And what's happening is that nobody can finish their puzzle, because I have puzzles that are like puzzle pieces that are not myself or for myself, and then the other ones have mine. So it's really good thing to be intentional about getting all your puzzle pieces back to yourself, you know, and like this, like soul aspects, you can say, energy, whatever, it's the same thing. So you just pull everything back to yourself, because when I'm whole, the other person has the chance to be whole themselves too, because if I am putting my energy into them, then they cannot be themselves. And so this is a good thing to just, you know, actually, when I was young, it's always like, you have to look, there's a German saying, you have to look out of your little plate. You just to see the brighter horizon. Actually, what I'm telling the people right now is, no, you come back to your plate. You know, you just look on your plate, and then you're fine with it. You have enough to work on with your plate.
Oh, yes.
Don't worry about the other ones.
Don't worry, there's plenty. You always have something to work on. We guarantee wherever you are in your journey, there's always something. But it can be fun. Don't fret.
No, exactly. So, and then, you know, I intentionally pull my power back, and I just try to be more self-aware. You know, how am I feeling? Which part is there right now? Which part is angry? Which part is sad? Which part is maybe ashamed? And just realize it. Nothing more.
I think that's one of the hardest things for many of us, to just acknowledge a thing and not add a story what it means around us, and
get or excuse it or blame it on somebody else.
Blame it on someone, exactly, or have this whole story what it is, because we've been taught that something is wrong or something is bad, something is better than the other. But like you said, emotions and even our reactions or whatever, they just are. And
exactly,
as long as we accept, as long as we then decide that, okay, this is not how I want to work, I want to act differently, and that's all you should be doing, just accepting and then making a different decision, rather than having a whole story around how terrible person you are, or how this person made you this way, so it's their fault. And we waste so much time and energy on those blaming another person. Or
also, what I'm really conscious about is my language. So also with my children, I never say I have to or you have to. And this is very very powerful, because you know, when you say I have to, it kind of implies that somebody's like putting a gun to my head and saying, you know, that we have to go now, otherwise we'll be late. But we don't have to. We can be late. Actually, that's a possibility, to be late. I can say I don't want to be late, and this is why I want to go now. But it's just like, you know, it's like also talk in like the I form. I want, I wish, I hope, whatever. And stop like blaming others for, you know, your behavior. It's like, oh, if you wouldn't have said that to me, I would have reacted differently. But nobody's forcing you to behave the way, you know. You could actually just go like, okay. And this is a very I think situation where everybody can relate to. If you're driving in a car and somebody is cutting you off, some people get crazy and some just go like, oh, whatever. So it's not like nobody's forcing somebody to be angry about it, and nobody's forcing somebody to be calm about it. You can choose to react.
I think especially with like a road rage and people that get so, you know, pumped or angry at the road, I think they also tell themselves that this is just how they are, because they've always been this way. They can't change it. And then again is this whole
Exactly.
I am, rather than, oh, this is just a behavior that I have, you know, gathered over the years. But you can change any part of yourself, any reaction.
Exactly.
You,
And I
anything.
hate it. I hate the sentence, I'm just that way. And I'm like,
I
no,
don't
you're
know.
not. You know, you
Yeah.
could actually decide. And one thing is also very, very important. You are exactly where you want to be.
Yes.
Even if you tell yourself you don't want to be there, you want to be there. Because if you wouldn't want to be there, oh, you
We'll
would be
do
somewhere
something
else.
differently. Yes.
It's that simple. You know, and this is like the costs to move somewhere, like, I don't know, quitting the job, leaving the relationship, or behaving differently is too high right now. So you'd rather stay in your miserable situation. And this is the first thing, to actually take responsibility for yourself, because you're exactly where you want to be. You know, it's not life that why you didn't go, like, to make the trip, or your children why you didn't make the trip, or whatever, you know, your parents because they couldn't afford you going abroad. This is not true. If you would have wanted to go to live somewhere else, you could have. There are a lot of people doing it, actually, you know. So if you're not doing it, there's a reason for that. Maybe you're scared, maybe it's too complicated, or it feels too much. That's all okay. It's all fine, but you're exactly where you want to be.
Yes, and I think that's also a very big one. A lot of people are going to be angry right now, but this is the truth. This is the truth, and the sooner we realize it, and that's why a lot of us had to be in this position of, oh my God, okay, that's it. So like my knee surgery was such a big eye opener to me, because all of a sudden everything that you just said, it was just clear as day to me. Oh, I have created this whole life. I am responsible for everything that I am accepting in my life right now. And, you know, it doesn't matter. And I can't be blaming anyone. I could have easily blamed whoever like did this to my knee, which was accident anyway. And it was just, it had to happen for me to open my eyes. I know this now. I kind of already knew it at the time of the surgery. But many of us wait for this rock bottom moment, thinking that this is the only time we can make this decision to do things differently and live differently. But I would love to spread awareness that you can make this decision anytime, even listening to this conversation when it does something in your body, even if it makes you angry, even when you're like screaming at the screen, I'll be like, oh, bullshit, this doesn't apply to me. Pay attention. It does apply to you even more. This is exactly what you need to hear. And you can make this decision right now, because we are so stubborn. We are so stuck in our ways. And this is
because they were so helpful once.
yes,
You know, this is the
once
thing.
were useful. Yes.
They once were actually so useful for us, not feeling like we have to die, because we had to rely on our people around us.
Yes.
You know, as a child, you cannot make your own decisions. You cannot decide for yourself. And this is why you learn different behaviors or strategies to cope. And this is, as an adult, not working anymore. And this is okay. You know, this happens to everybody. It's just the only person who can change this is you.
Well, We have touched upon so many things that I think we will conclude on this, because people will have already a lot to think about, even though I could talk to you for another hour easily. So tell me, how can people work with you? How can they find you? Do you maybe have any offering currently that you're promoting, or anything that you'd like to share for whoever's tuning
Yeah.
in, and how you can assist them on their journeys?
Yeah, right now I'm doing one-on-one sessions mostly. I'm working on some group activities. I'm going to release a dragon workshop so that we can connect to the dragon energy more for people who feel called to do it. And just
I feel
like
called to do it. Please keep me
yeah.
posted.
Yeah. So like via Instagram, I have a stand store there. You can get the free ebook, and you can also book a session there. You can just write to me, like send a message. Yeah, I'm very flexible, and
Okay, perfect. So I will link the most important links to you, to your Instagram, to the ebook. We will have this all in the description of the video, so people can find it easily. Absolutely loved this conversation. Thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom. I agree with 100% everything that we were discussing today. It was very close to my heart as well. I've gone through all of those things, and yeah, it was just a beautiful conversation. So thank you so much for being very honest and vulnerable with us, and sharing your wisdom.
yes, thank you so much for having me, and taking the time to listen to it.
Okay, bye.
Bye.